Welcome to The Resilient Reiner, the premier podcast focused on mental performance for equestrians and improved horse show performance. Whether you're a rookie reiner or a seasoned competitor, this show is for riders who want to take their skills to the next level and achieve their full potential in the show ring. I'm Nicole Burnett, and I'm a master mindset coach who's obsessed with helping you achieve all those horse dreams you always thought were impossible. Join me each week to develop a show-ready mindset and gain the competitive edge you need to compete with confidence. Welcome, friends. Okay, I'm ready to talk today. So I had a coaching session recently where this came up. Such a great session. And I went, oh my gosh, I have to talk about this because this same issue came up for me a few years ago. If it's coming up for you, I know that there are other people who are going to resonate with this. So let me set the scene. Imagine this. You are standing at the edge of the show pen. Your heart is racing. Your mind is just buzzing with all the thoughts about what could go wrong in the run you're about to do. Your horse is ready. Your trainer's watching. But all you can think about is whether you even belong there. The pressure's on, and instead of feeling like a confident cowgirl, you are questioning everything, right down to the cowboy hat on your head. And that was me a couple of years ago. So, like I said, during a recent session that I just had, I was reminded of this exact feeling when my client shared a similar struggle. She was having the same thing of feeling embarrassed, feeling like an imposter, feeling uncomfortable wearing a cowboy hat, even though that is the standard dress code, that is required, that's what you wear in her event. And it brought back memories for me of my own journey. And it was such a thing where it really taught me how a simple accessory, in many ways, it's just a hat, right? But a simple accessory like a cowboy hat, it could either make or break my confidence. So let me go back to that time. This story is not just about overcoming a mental hurdle, but it's also about how a small, seemingly insignificant thing can have a massive impact on your confidence and on your performance. So a couple of years ago, I found myself in a situation, this might have even been 5 years ago, I found myself in this situation, and it might sound familiar to some of you. I had this beautiful cowboy hat, and it was one I was supposed to wear at shows, but I was seriously uncomfortable wearing it. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a hat, what's the big deal? But trust me, it was a big deal. It was a really big deal to me. Every time I put it on, I felt like a total imposter. Instead of feeling confident and ready to ride, I was drained, I was distracted, I was mentally exhausted. I felt like such a poser. And despite decades of experience riding, despite my horses, despite actually riding and competing and doing all of these things, my brain kept very unhelpfully suggesting that I wasn't a real cowgirl because I wasn't like fill in the blank, literally just pick anything. I wasn't like girls who work on a ranch or because we didn't own actual cattle. But honestly, even when we got some cattle of our own, this still seemed to pop up for me. So that didn't even fix it. You know, these brains are crazy and not always very helpful. So all of my energy, it went into worrying about how I looked and what people were thinking, and it left very little for what actually mattered, which was riding my horse, right? And one day I just had enough. I realized that something had to change. I was so tired of feeling this way, and I was tired of letting something as simple as a stupid hat sap my confidence. So I made a conscious decision. I was gonna wear the hat. I decided that I was a cowgirl, and that was that. And not just at shows. I wore that hat everywhere. I wore it around the barn, running errands, even just around my house. And at first, it did feel strange. It felt like I was pretending to be somebody that I wasn't. But slowly, something shifted. The more that I wore it, the more natural it felt to wear my cowboy hat. And one day, it hit me. This piece of clothing, this hat, it wasn't just a piece of clothing anymore. It had practically become my signature accessory. It was something that made me feel like a cowgirl rock star. I was like, this hat is the bomb. This hat is so cool. I love how I feel in it. I just feel incredible when I wear my hat. Then when I went back into the show pen, my cowgirl hat wasn't distracting to me anymore. Instead, it just felt like a natural extension of who I was. The imposter syndrome was gone. I wasn't just wearing a cowboy hat. I was owning it. And this experience just reminded me of how so many of us struggle with similar feelings of being an imposter or letting small things drain our mental resources. And so this is, again, I brought this up in my coaching session with my client because she was having the same experience. And I said, hold up, I know what's going on here. And this isn't just some minor thing. It is, but it has an outside impact on your performance because all of your attention, all of your mental resources are getting busy battling this imposter syndrome, focusing on this hat and how it feels uncomfortable and it's a little bit tighter, it's a little bit loose, or, all of these things. Is it going to fly off? All of these things. And when you're focused on all of these other things, you are not focused on riding your horse, which is where you need to be in the present moment to have peak performance, to have your best rides, to make the most progress. So whether it is a hat, it can be a piece of tack, or even the way that you talk to yourself. These things can empower you or hold you back. So here's my challenge to you. What is your cowboy hat? Maybe like my client, it's a literal hat, okay? But maybe it's not. Maybe it is wearing the boots that you only wear at shows. Maybe it's a pair of chaps, maybe whatever it is. But what is your cowboy hat? What is the thing that is distracting you, that makes you feel like you don't quite belong? Identify it, face it head on, and decide to own it. Because the moment that you do, you'll find that it loses its power over you, and you'll reclaim your mental resources for what truly matters, being the confident, resilient rider that you are. So I want to know, you can always send me a message, write back and let me know, what is your cowboy hat? I love to hear from you guys and just hear what it is, that these sneaky little things, that little gremlins that creep in your brain that are in between you and your best rides. As always, I am here to help you on this journey, friends. I love being on this podcast. This is my favorite way to connect with you. If you are struggling with something similar, let's talk about it. You are not alone in this, and together we can turn those mental blocks into your new superpower. If you're ready for more, check out my free masterclass on developing your unshakable confidence as a rider. Links in the show notes. Until next time, happy trails, my friends.